Good afternoon, everyone. You're listening to My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, KHTS. Today we are talking about extraordinary relationships, and we have two very special guests in the studio with us today. We have Coach Ron Tunick and his lovely wife, Ellen, and we're going to be talking about, you guys can say hi. I cut
you off. Didn't want to interrupt
radio voice.
Oh, you
Mic
guys,
check 1 2 1 2.
you guys were in the relationship workshop about 30 days ago or
Yes.
so. So
Already it's been 30 days.
We're gonna pick
One
one
month.
month.
to
Go.
go back.
1 month check in.
Okay.
So tell us how long you've been in a relationship. Let's start off with that. How long have you been married? How long have you been in a relationship for?
We've been married plus 30 years, but I've known her. I won't tell you her age, but I've known her close to.
I'm a 66. So
I've known her close to 36 years.
yeah.
And prior to attending the workshop, what number would you give your relationship 0 to 10 prior to the?
Well, you're going to
relationship
ask
workshop?
me, and I'm going to give you a number, and his might be different. I think for me, the relationship was hovering around a 6.
Okay.
God, that's terrible.
Okay. No, that's just the
That's
number.
just real?
It's just her number. Yeah.
My God.
Don't make up a story about it.
No, I need to take a deep breath here. I had us at a solid 8.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think was in the gap between the 6 and the 10 for you?
Oh my
Cold
gosh.
dinners and
There were so many things in the gap for me. A lot of things that I obviously needed to take a lot of responsibility for. One of the biggest things was I wanted him to fill my emotional bucket instead of learning how to fill my own emotional bucket and then sharing the journey with him. That was very profound for me.
Now, did you know that that's what you were seeking prior to the training, or is that an awareness that
It's an
moment?
awareness. It was an awareness. I might have thought about it before. It's kind of like intellectually, yeah, I knew that.
Right.
I think we all kind of know that. But the training brought it up. It percolated right up so that I had to acknowledge it. I had to become responsible for that and decide how I wanted to experience that. Did I want to continue doing that, or did I actually want to make some changes? So I wanted to make some changes, and that really, really helped me because I would think that if he cleaned the mirror, that was one little, quarter cup in the bucket. It really had nothing to do with it.
Now, out of curiosity, him cleaning the mirror, or just even picking up his clothes, or taking care of himself, or picking up after himself, what did that all symbolize for you? It has to be a symbol.
That he didn't care enough about me to do a few of the things that help me and make me happy.
Got it. Coach, for you, between the 8 and the 10, what's in that gap? Do you think that was missing?
I'm still suffering from the 6, which is like a C plus of the marriage. I had us at a B plus, not a C plus. Holy.
It's all good. It's all good.
What's your question?
So you gave your marriage an 8 out of a 1 to 10.
Yeah.
What's in the gap between the 8 and the 10? What did you feel like you needed more of, or what could you have improved on to get it to a 10?
Sex every day of the week.
Well, good luck with that one.
All right.
Be serious.
Let me be serious for a second. I'm happy. I'm shocked to hear it was a 6. I'm still suffering from that comment. I don't know. I thought we had a pretty good marriage.
Okay, but still, there's something in the gap between 8 and 10. Is it affection? Is it better communication? Is it trust?
Now, after honestly going to your workshop, I'm giving us a 9.5. I mean, I told you at lunch the other
Can
day
we go
that
back to his question?
I don't want to.
he doesn't want to live in the past.
Are you deflecting?
He might be.
All
right, let's move on to the next question, because I'm really excited to have you guys here, because it's rare to have people that experience some of my trainings that can articulate themselves and be excited and say it in a way that common people can go, oh my God, that I can relate to that. So I'm really excited to have you guys here. So now that I got you in the hot seat, I want to throw a couple questions at you.
Absolutely.
All right. So tell me why you guys decided to register for the Extraordinary Relationship Workshop. And I also want you to tell me the backstory of how you actually got Ron to go. Because most guys don't, volunteer themselves to do this kind of work.
The reason that I decided to go. Jerry and Carl had offered it up at a dinner one night. And I am always anxious and open for any type of self-awareness, building. And so at that point, because Ron said, "Oh, sure, I'll go," he was on board. It wasn't until the morning of that I had any idea that he didn't want to go.
Well, that's when it became real for him. Because prior to that, it was just all right, I'll go, and then all of a sudden, you
And
start getting
he
closer.
literally was trying to fit. It was the weekend of the Masters. I'll give him that. He really did want to sit on the couch and watch the Masters. And apparently, he'd been telling Carl for days, "Oh my gosh, what's going to happen? Am I going to be put on the hot seat? Am I going to be asked questions?" So much unknown. See, I love the unknown. I think the unknown is fascinating, and you can speak for yourself, but I believe that he wanted to know exactly what was going to go on so that he knew what to expect. I didn't want to know what to expect.
And some people, they operate from not knowing is very scary to me, and I don't want to put myself in that kind of a situation. Is that kind of resonate with you?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a guy, so I don't want to show my feelings.
Okay.
B, I don't want to expose how I feel, or I didn't want to expose. I thought our marriage was in good shape, so I've been thinking, why do I need this? And Elle's right. I'm thinking, I don't really want to do this, but get in the car, we go over there, and then as you and Jazmine know, for the first 3 or 4 hours, I was resisting, until something happened.
Tell me about that. Something happened.
Well,
what was that magical moment?
You asked a question. Do you remember the question that you asked? So I don't remember the question. Do you remember what the question was?
Tell me your response to it. What was it that you remember?
My response was something mean to my wife. And she looked at me. You said we're going to break.
There was an exercise that you gave us, and that exercise was, I want everybody to go outside without speaking, to spend 20 minutes with your partner.
In silence.
In silence, communicate with your eyes, with your face, with your body, however you feel comfortable, and try to express your feelings without speaking. Well, we all got around, and the last thing that was said was Ron saying, "Well, maybe women just shouldn't talk at all." That was what happened. So we left the room, and I was so angry that I couldn't speak. So that was a good thing.
It was the worst 20 minutes of our marriage.
As it should be, because sometimes we put our foot in our mouth and don't this is the part of us being unconscious in relationships. We say things, we do things on automatic pilot, and we don't realize what we're saying. Now, in hindsight, you walk around and you got to pay the consequence for saying that stuff, and then you get a chance to self-reflect and go, why did I say that? Right? I think that was the breakthrough moment.
Well, I knew that I'd hurt her, I embarrassed her, and it was
both of those things,
and it was inappropriate. And so when we came back, the first thing I did is apologize to her in front of everybody. Then I apologized to everybody, and something happened at that point when I was apologizing. It was like all of a sudden I woke up. All of a sudden it was a whole different understanding of why I was there, and I was looking I don't know, everything changed. I don't know what changed.
Okay,
let me wanted to be there.
Let me throw out a possibility. Could the possibility be in that moment you had an aha moment where you said to yourself silently, maybe there is some work I need to do on myself. Maybe I do say stupid things every once in a while, and I don't realize how many other stuff I say and do that I'm not catching myself. And I'm really sabotaging, I'm harming my relationship more than I'm contributing to the wellness of it.
Yeah, I exactly. At that moment, I thought to myself, "Holy schmoly, I've got to change." And it's just what you said.
There were a lot of really wonderful things that were learned by the other people in the room. There's so much interaction, positive interaction, and we all We all got to that place where we so wanted to be there. And when you so want to be there, magic happens.
The reaction to what me apologizing to Elle and to the room, and again, I don't remember what you said. That's why I listened to your CD. But your reaction to my apology and the room's reaction to my apology, I think what Elle just said, I felt safe and I felt like, okay, you know what? I don't need to fight this anymore.
You know why? Because it was inspiring. I'm going to be honest with you. When you apologize in front of a group of people, it inspired me. It reminded me of all the times that I do stupid things, or I get to just say, okay, when you make a mistake, go clean it up. So that's why I think you felt safe and it felt that it was okay to make that mistake and clean it up. I was inspired by it. So I don't know how the rest of the people felt when you did that, but that's what I was feeling. And I think that's what you kind of felt in return.
Well, I think that normally it's easy to just kind of, you think that everyone forgot. So when you came back to the room, you could have sat down and maybe just apologized to your wife and then that's it.
Or brushed it off or ignored it.
Right, because you probably thought, oh, everybody forgot by now. I'm not going to bring it up. I don't want to embarrass myself or start that whole process again.
Or draw any more attention to myself
That's
than
right.
necessary
Right,
now.
but when you acknowledge it and you straight up say, hey, I messed up. I'm sorry. Will everybody forgive me? All of a sudden it's like, well, yeah, of course.
You owned it in that moment. And when you owned it, there's something about the human spirit that just loves that. It's so genuine. And so when you did that, it was like,
it makes
it was
us all
amazing.
feel the same.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
she was so hurt, and Elle tells the story of her friends about that incredible weekend. But, other people were lovey-dovey. They were holding hands. They were looking at each other. They were kissing.
I was ready to throw a punch.
So at that point, I just thought, wow, what a jerk. I don't want her to be married to a jerk. So the switch went on. Thank God it went on. And from that moment forward to this morning, it's been an incredible ride. This morning didn't start off great, but we'll talk about it later.
Okay. And it's not always going to go great. And I hope you learn that.
Life is real.
I hope you learn that in the relationship. It's a constant reinvention of yourself. And I think sometimes when you said, you guys starting to show off saying that you've been in a relationship for over 30 years.
36.
36 years. Can we not get complacent in our relationships?
Absolutely.
Can we not just
But not after going to your workshop.
Well, that's because there's a new spark. There's a new awake. Someone shook you and said, hey, in case you haven't figured out, you got to keep
There's
working at
something
this.
different out there. I think that people just figure, whatever, 30, 36 years, this is what you get. And the awakening was not true. This is not what you get. You get what you're willing to open up to, what you're willing to learn about, what you're willing to work on. That's what you get. And that's what was so amazing, that I wanted to be really open to it, but I was so happy that you got to that place where you were going, okay, I'm on board. Me too.
When Ron says that you are telling your friends and sharing the experience, what are you sharing with them? Is it in your excitement? Is it in this new zest, this new perspective shift, this new passion, this new fire? Because my next question was, tell me about your experience. But I want to know what your experience is when you're telling your girlfriends, like, oh my God, it was amazing. Like, what does that sound like?
Obviously, because I am almost 66 years old, most of my friends are around the same age as I am and have been in long-term relationships. And I was so inspired by knowing that in a 2-day process, you can change so many things about how you respond to people, how you respond to yourself, how you respond to your environment. I was so excited about that and inspired by that. So when I was sharing, because I was telling everybody, oh yeah, we're going to a relationship seminar, and everybody wanted to know how to go. And so I was really excited about the opportunity to be different in the world.
I love that. And so what about for you? How would you describe your experience of the training to all your guy friends, all the macho
Well,
guys that are going to look at you and
that
go,
are
"Come on,
pounding
go."
their chest.
Their reaction was entirely different than Elle's
I'm
friends.
sure it was.
Their reaction was, "Come on, little wussy boy, what are you doing?" But I still talk about you, and I still talk about the experience. Some of the guys will, like when they're not in front of the other guys, they'll ask me a question or two. So I know a couple of them. Once we announce if you have your next one, there's a good chance 2 or 3 will come. It's like when guys get together, it's like they're in the locker room. That macho, phony thing goes on, and so one of the things I talked about to all my friends that you helped me with is vulnerability, because a lot of guys are just not vulnerable. We don't show that side of us that is vulnerable, that we don't cry easily. Empathy sometimes is not always there.
Compassion.
So I think for me, when I talk about the extraordinary weekend that I had with you, is the vulnerability issue, is that when you're vulnerable, you're even more authentic. And it's like honey to a bee. You're actually more attractive to everybody. And I think I'm more attractive to my wife. Hopefully, you did. I gave a grade of 9.5 after the what's the new grade?
He's waiting to find out what the new grade is. Yeah.
I think we are absolutely at an 8 to an 8.5. There's
that's
so
good.
much work to be done.
Well, let me just tell you, you never get to a 10. That's the
No.
hidden secret.
If you think you're at a 10?
you never get to a 10. I'm still at an 8. And I'm always going to be at an 8, because once I get to a 10, then I tell myself I'm there. And I never want to be there. I want to keep growing and evolving. So you never really want to go past an 8 anyways. You always want to have a gap there to look at yourself to go, all right, what's missing from me? What does my wife need from me that I'm not giving her and being that certain way to her that she needs from me?
Well, the other thing that I learned was about really being present. Maybe my wife's a better wife than I'm a better husband, and I'm working so hard on being present. And I don't think it was explained to me, but after a day and a half of being open-minded and understanding what being present is, it's really improved our marriage dramatically.
So I taught a lot of distinctions in that training, right? So you talk about vulnerability, you talk about being present, and you talk about all these different ways of being that I really broke down that distinction. My curiosity to you, and the question I want to ask to you is, when you knew those distinctions prior to having the experience in the training room, did it give it a whole new value? Like authenticity before going to the training, and then actually experiencing yourself being authentic and everyone else in the room being authentic at a higher level, did it open your eyes to go, oh my God, this is what authenticity really looks like, or this is what vulnerability is, like the next level of those distinctions?
I think for me, I can get caught up in my head, so I understand concepts intellectually. I think what happened for me was the training allowed me to put my heart and my head back together again.
I love that you said that. This is why. There's a lot of it's kind of like this process where I'm wrapping my mind around people that live in their head, and the experiences for them or words for them are more like concepts. It's conceptual. So I like that you said that, because we might think we're being vulnerable until you actually experience what vulnerability actually feels like. Now now vulnerability has a whole new meaning for you.
Right.
And I call it the great illusion, especially when I talk about parents. You got to be open to the possibility that you see yourself this loving, caring, compassionate mom. But could it be possible that your son or your daughter isn't experiencing you at that level that you think you're actually showing up? That you're actually it's more of a concept that you're that loving.
It's a
more of a
stage
conceptual
production in your head.
Okay, I love that. You're painting now the idea that you live as an idea. You're not actually experiencing yourself and expressing yourself in such a way that people are going, I get you. I feel you.
Yes, absolutely. So that's what was really, I could literally on a physical level feel when the connections were being made, because it feels different. I can manage what's up here. But when it hit my heart and went together, it was a true physical feeling that I really stopped and went, wow, take a breath.
I love that.
One of the things I wanted to point out is I actually saw you guys in that experience of the silence, walking around and
So
not
did I,
speaking.
by the way.
So I'm
sure
I
everybody did.
wanted to share my outside experience because I was there. I was there alone without my boyfriend. So in that process, I was with a random person. So I was kind of disconnected from that person and just kind of watching everybody. So I would see a couple walk by and go, "Oh, I want to be like them. Like, I wish my boyfriend was here." The whole weekend was pretty much like that. And then I saw you guys walk by and I was like, "Oh, I don't want to be like that." But wait. Then you guys took a lap. You came back. You sat down. You were still, I could tell you guys were still angry at each other. And as I watched you guys, I thought, you know what? I would rather be like that than not be with the person that I'm with. I would rather be in the fights and get through all of those things and have the apologies afterwards and all of the vulnerability that came out from Coach afterwards when he did apologize and we did go back in the room and all got centered again. So it was a really good experience for me because the whole weekend I was so mad at my boyfriend for not coming. And just to see you guys there, Coach, you there, going when you didn't want to go was really inspiring to me.
Now
Yeah.
I can't wait to go.
Yeah, it said a lot about your commitment to your wife and your relationship,
Yes.
even though you didn't feel like sometimes when you're committed, it's not about your feelings. It's not about
That's
your, it's
interesting.
about your own, it's not about you sometimes. It's about, hey, my wife wants to go, it's important to her, so I'm gonna go. And yeah, I might, struggle and squirm and roll my eyes, but at a certain point, hopefully there's enough value that I can just surrender all that and we can be one. And I'm glad you guys did get to that point.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
We have to take a quick break, so stay tuned for more of My Conscious Dad right here on your hometown station, KHTS.